What is up, my beautiful besties? It is preview day, my dudes. Now, in this week's preview, the developers have done something quite odd, very different, and a little bit intriguing. You see, instead of the Mounts of Mayhem update continuing to get larger and larger, instead, they've slowed things down a little bit, almost to a crawl, in fact, to work on making sure everything is perfectly polished. Over the course of today, we'll be taking a look at a bunch of changes to both brand new mobs and old mobs, some changes to the weapon, and a little bit more. So smash like, but something weird is going on. I would say about 75% of everything in today's preview, maybe even more, is all the bug fixing. Now, usually, this is what we would see right when an update is about to finish. But that's the catch. This update isn't about to finish. We know for sure, based off of what the developers have said time and time again, that there is a lot more to this update. After all, if you want to talk about, like, mayhem features in the game, I mean, yeah, maybe the new zombie functionality, wielding a spear, yeah, that could definitely cause a little bit of mayhem in your world, but other than this, boy, there's not too much mayhem in the update. It still does look like, based off of a couple of different articles and places the devs have said things, that there is a little bit more to this update, but what it is and just when, well, it's still kind of anyone's guess. I would still put some bets on maybe the minecart update, based off of the changes that we saw in last week's preview. What else do you think is coming to the game in this update? Tell me about it down below. Next up, let's take a look at our brand new friend, the beautiful Nautilus. This week, we've got some changes with this wonderful guy that make it a little bit better. Alright, so for starters here, when I'm taming a Nautilus, I can use a normal pufferfish or, of course, a bucket of pufferfish as well. After I've tamed my Nautilus, though, let's say, unfortunately, it took a little bit of damage or something like that, well, I can heal up the Nautilus with not only pufferfish, but actually buckets of any fish in the game. And now, unfortunately, they are not infinite. So this is a little fix on a broken mechanic that was here in the game since the Nautilus was added on Bedrock, where basically you could heal your Nautilus up with a bucket of any kind of fish, and it wouldn't consume the fish. Now, if you're gonna heal your Nautilus up or tame it with a bucket of something, well, a bucket of something only lasts one thing. On top of that, if you've got yourself a Nautilus and you'd like to tempt it, like get it to follow you around or something, you can now use any bucket of fish in the entire game, not just pufferfish. Interestingly here, if I use the plain old fish item, like a normal cod, well, kind of predictably, I could also tempt this thing and get it to follow me around as well. But still, the only way to get your Nautilus to make a sweet little Nautili is to use the pufferfish. Heal him with all of the other fish, but not breed him. Ooh, now very similar to the Nautilus, but a little bit different, we have the zautilus. This guy is gonna be a little bit different. Dude, you're so flipping loud, too. Why are you booming? Dude, why are you just booming all over the place? Stop it, knock it off. The zombie Nautilus. If you've got yourself one of these things in survival, before you tame this thing, it will not care about any other. Whoa! It's being mean to me. Dude, that's different than Java. No! Brand new to this week's preview, an untamed zautilus can definitely be tempted with a bucket of pufferfish or a solid stack of pufferfish, whatever you want to do. But until you tame one of these things, it will not care about any of the other buckets of fish. Instead, only once you tame this thing will it then be tempted by and care about the other buckets of fish, and to be able to be healed up by the other buckets of fish as well. Now, another interesting thing about the zautilus here, in its natural state here, on a Bedrock Edition, you can see this guy is zooming around. It's so much quicker and moves way more than a plain old Nautilus. Like, taking a look at this thing in its natural setting, the normal Nautilus moves around quite slow. Meanwhile, the zautilus over here, it's zooming, dashing, and sprinting. Still on that note of the zautilus, we actually have a brand new functionality when it comes to taking this thing out of the water. So first things first, for starters, we'll have a tamed zautilus. We'll go ahead and maybe put a saddle on you and sail you over to the land. Once I jump out of the water and get you on the land, well, it's a little bit broken. It shouldn't have been burning. There's armor on it. Alright, but let's say we had a zautilus up on the land. Well, just like in this week's Minecraft Java snapshot, a zautilus up on the land, well, it will actually never suffocate any longer. Even better here, to level this thing up, you can drag it around on the land with a lead, put a little bit of armor on this thing on the land to make sure it doesn't burn, and you effectively have a beautiful way at moving a zautilus all around your world. Maybe you next up get your hands on a happy gas and attach the lead to the happy gas. You could sail or fly your zautilus. Well, you could move it like thousands on thousands of blocks as far as you could fly. This is a pretty beautiful functionality, and now we have cold hard proof because it's documented in the changelog, unlike the snapshot, that yeah, this is actually an intended functionality of it. With the zautilus now being able to be moved across land a little bit easier than before, All I'm waiting on is a bucket of baby Nautilus, Mojang. Look, man, the developers are clearly up to something when it comes to the Camel, because for a second week in a row, the Camel has received a little bit of updating and refining. We've got a brand new functionality when it comes to the Camel, basically being a little bit more fall-proof than it was before this week's update. You see, before this week's update, if I had a Camel and took a little bit of a fall from like 4 blocks or something, well, I would take fall damage with a camel would. Now, no longer will that happen. Camels can actually survive a fall up to 4 blocks now without taking a single ounce of fall damage. Look, man, this literally could be nothing, like maybe me over-speculating, but the husk right here, remember that these things can spawn and use a spear. But why would they spawn with a spear ever? Like, compared to a sword, unless the zombie can actually pick up momentum here, I mean, it's a waste. Thinking about what could potentially come next, I don't know. I feel like it's not too far to take a guess. It's not too crazy to guess that maybe some sort of zombified or huskified camel could be coming to the desert. This would definitely add a little bit of mayhem to the game, and at the same time, maybe make the husk with the spear make a little bit more sense. After all, this is literally the only type of zombie without its own, like, proper mount now. In the world of absolutely nightmare changes for Bedrock Edition this week, oh, good luck. The Phantom, the mob you definitely love. Well, yeah, now the Phantom is not going to drown ever. The Phantom can dive under the water and, in theory, attack you, and it will never take any drowning damage. So, enjoy. The zombie horse. As we checked out in the previous preview, we learned that zombie horse spawning on Bedrock Edition is kind of broken. Like, it doesn't happen very frequently at all. For starters here, if you're looking for a zombie horse, you're going to need to find one of 2 biomes, the plains or the savanna. Now, after that, you're going to need to wander around to wait around in these biomes for hopefully a zombified horse to spawn with a rider on top of it. And when it comes to zombified horse spawning inside of this preview, it seems to have been fixed a little bit. Keyword, little. So there was an issue with their spawning. They were spawning inside of the wrong categories, the zombie horse. With the zombie horse having the wrong spawning category, that would lead to it spawning a little bit less commonly. This new fix should, in theory, make it easier to find, but oh man. I mean, definitely be warned, man. It still seems to be really rare on Bedrock compared to Java. Walls, fences. These are some of the most intriguing and also potentially useful types of blocks in the entire game, especially my boy the fence right here. Like, that's a beautiful looking shape. These blocks are not only crazy useful, but they are also pretty advanced as well. For example, if the devs are going to add a new fence or wall to the game, it will need to know what it's actually next to and decide if it should actually connect to that side or not connect to it. Brand new to the game this week, there seems to be quite a bit of setup for potentially even more walls and fences, or at the least, whenever the devs decide to add more of these things to the game, adding them being way easier. In the changelog, experimental tech update section of it all the way at the bottom, we'll be able to find a brand new connection rule, has fence connections, and connection property changes. Now, this is going to be a thing for the next update, the Mounts of Mayhem update. And all of these components are new ways to make fences and walls work a whole lot easier. With new block sets being basically missing from the entirety of this year, I wonder if maybe at last we could see something like the granite block set get expanded with some polished walls. Maybe something like red nether bricks with a missing fence set getting added to the game. Or maybe something like calcite completely missing all block variants as it is. Maybe that'll finally make it to the game. Either way, the setup, it definitely seems like setup for more variants to come to the game sometime soon. Into this week's preview, mobs have also gotten a little bit smarter because of the zombie. They will now be able to pick up spears, and it will know how to use them too. So this is a terrible idea. Don't do this in survival. But in survival, if I stand around over here, we can see the zombie charge down the spear. It's now wobbling. It's dropped down. And then eventually is going to end the attack. And then when it realizes who I am, it initiates it again and keeps moving over towards me. If I get too close, well, it will definitely be able to deal a little bit of damage with the spear. Now, the zombie, it seems to only want to do the charge attack here. So I guess I kind of nerfed it a little bit while it's in the water. It's going so slow. But eventually, once it gets up on the land, it's going to lock onto me, charge at me, at least a little bit, with a spear, and just try and deal as much damage to me as possible. Oh, dude, it's dangerous. Now, sliding on over to the nether here, this is actually a functionality that is not exclusive to the normal zombie. Instead, we'll be able to find on occasion a zombified piglin spawning with golden spears. It definitely is not more common than the sword, though. The sword is definitely still their main go-to. But yeah, here we go. Look at that giant spear with the zombified piglin. It'll also know how to use it. And the less zombified version of the piglin, it'll also be able to have a golden spear. From time to time, if they ever spawn, which their spawning seems to be a little bit bugged in this preview. I mean, that or it's just so low compared to Java, but the normal piglin, it'll be able to spawn with a spear as well. Seriously though, I've wandered around here for so long and haven't been able to find any normal piglin spawner. They're all zombified. This is similar to a bug with them zombifying in the nether in a recent Java snapshot, and it gets me wondering. I mean, I don't know, I kind of wouldn't think that this would be in the update, but maybe something with piglin zombifying and not might be coming soon. I almost wonder if there's going to be some way to maybe bring them to the overworld, kind of like in the movie. Oh, and for all of this spear magic to work, the developers have added a whole ton of new mob AI to the game. It's all documented in the changelog, but wow, this stuff is crazy advanced. Like all of the technicalities and different definitions that needed to be added to the game to make a zombie use the spear correctly, that's crazy, man. Lunge. Now look here, man, you already know that the lunge enchantment has had a total revamp in this week's Java snapshot. It's so beautiful. You can jump, you can run, you can lunge. It's pretty amazing. We're gonna talk more about it soon. Oh, be careful. This week on Bedrock Edition, the lunge enchantment change has not made it to the game, but we do have a note that it will be coming very soon. My big question here, though, the hunger saturation is completely different on Bedrock. I wonder if this means potentially we could be looking at some kind of saturation and hunger rebalance finally after all of these years. Because otherwise, if not, the spear is going to be a nightmare with lunge on Bedrock. But for today, besties, that's all I've got. Fingers crossed that next week, the preview, the snapshot, we will finally see the mayhem part of this update. For now, though, check out the video on the end card, tap like, subscribe. All of my links are in the description. Become channel member today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.